Hi everyone, my name is Evans Kagwira from Malawi and welcome to my YouTube channel Step Up. I am a 2025-26 Chevening Scholar currently pursuing an MSc in Project Management at Nottingham Trent University here in the UK. I was also awarded the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship to study an MSc in Artificial Intelligence at the University of Wolverhampton. But because I could only choose one, so I decided to go with Chevening. So you can see you are definitely in the right place. In this channel, I'll be sharing practical tips and personal experiences on how you can also go on to apply and get these kind of scholarships. So tag along. So let's get into it. The questions that I'm getting right now is, Evans, now that I've submitted my application, can you please share the interview questions that you faced so that I can start getting prepared for interviews? And I've seen the same questions in a few groups of Chevening aspirants that I'm in. People are asking for interview questions so that they can get prepared. But if you ask me, you should not worry about interviews for now. And here's why I'm saying that. If you follow the Chevening timeline, so after the application portal closed on 7 October, from mid-October to around January, that is when the reading committees will sit down and assess and shortlist the candidates that they want to invite for interviews. And from mid-February, according to that timeline, that is when the shortlisted candidates will get an invitation to an interview. So you can see that between now and February, you have got about 3 months before you receive that email of getting invited to an interview. And again, if you follow the timeline, they have said that interviews will take place from March, this is mid-March, going forward. And from my own personal experience, last year, I got an email that I've been shortlisted for an interview on 19 February. But the slots that were available from Malawi were starting from 7 April and up to the end of that week, because 7 April was a Monday. So it was up to the Friday of that week. And I booked my session on 8th April. So you can see that from the day that I got the email of being shortlisted to an interview, which is 19 February, and to the day that I booked my session, 8 April, I had about 7 weeks to prepare for that interview. So that's why I'm saying that for now, please don't worry about interviews, because if you get that email, Chevening will give you enough space to worry about interviews. And you will also find in that time, you will also find a lot of materials online, whether it's YouTube, LinkedIn, on how you can prepare for interviews. And I will also be available in that time. I will take on board a few individuals that I can prepare on how they can tackle the interview. So let's just say for now that we'll cross the bridge when we get to that side. Okay, so what should you worry about at this time then? I would suggest to you a few things that you can worry about for now. My first suggestion would be your documents. And by documents, I mean your passport. So if you know that you do not have a passport, or your passport is going to expire very soon, then please make sure that you fast track that process of getting a passport or renewing your passport. Do not take this lightly, uh, because having a passport, it's one thing that will make sure that you get a visa to the UK. Without that passport, you are not getting a visa. And not just a passport, but a valid passport. And I can tell you for sure that this year, two or three, if my memory serves me right, uh, individuals who got the scholarship, they got everything, but because they did not have a valid passport, they lost the scholarship. So don't fall into the same trap. Make sure that you have a valid passport. So basically, your passport, because if they give you a visa next year for you to come for studies, that visa will run up until January 2028. So basically, your passport should be valid from next year, September 2026, up to January 2028. So that is the timeline that you have to keep in mind in terms of validity of your passport. And the second thing you can worry about is your referees. So it's always important to understand how reference letters work with the Chevening. When you were submitting your application, Chevening asked for two referees. This is their names, their contact, and their email address. But come February, when you are shortlisted, Chevening is not going to email these individuals to provide these reference letters. What they will do is, in the email they are going to send you, they will also ask you that you solicit these reference letters and upload them. You take that responsibility of uploading those reference letters into the application portal. So it is very important that you keep in touch with your referees, because between now, this is November, to February, which is about 3 months time, a lot of things can happen in an individual's life. Okay, for example, we are living in a global world right now. Someone can get a job in the US, in the UK, Australia, or whatever, and you don't want to get this information in February when you try to contact this person and realize that the person is in the US and you're having difficulties contacting them because of the time differences. So it's always good to keep in touch with them. Let them. You should know what is happening in their life. Um, are they going to be available at just after a phone call, and you are going to be able to meet them if at all they are not your supervisors or your managers or your managers or your bosses in your organization. If it is someone, for example, who is a professor who taught you 2 or 3 years ago, it's always important to know their whereabouts. This is going to be very helpful. Also, by keeping in touch with them, you keep this person engaged and you keep them mentally prepared, so they know that by February they need to provide you with this reference letter, rather than just keeping quiet for now and come February then you surprise this person that, oh, I need that reference letter. People are busy, life happens, they might not be able to provide you with that reference letter in time. Also, it's always important to provide these individuals with the key points that you want them to address in your reference letter. For example, if someone gets a reference letter that is just generic, for example, it's just talking about, oh, Evans has got good leadership skills, or Evans has got intellectual capability, he's able to take on a 1 year course in the UK. Okay, if you compare this to someone who has provided a reference letter for you and they are talking to the key points, and by key points, I mean that the things that you talked about in your essays, for example, your leadership example, if this person, you can give them that this is the project that I talked about in my essay, I would also appreciate it if you can incorporate it in the reference letter. And then your referee talk about this. Oh, I know Evans because in 2024 he was engaged in this project, and this is the role that he took, and this is the result out of that project. Because this your essay and the reference letter, they are speaking to each other. It kind of adds authenticity to your reference letter. So Chevening is going to take you more seriously rather than someone who has just provided a generic uh, reference letter. So it's always good to keep in touch with them, give them the key points that you want to be put into your reference letter. So that's why I'm saying it is important to keep in touch with them, because, for example, you put your CEO as your referee, and for now you don't talk to them. Come February, you've got shortlisted, and now you're going there that I need this reference letter in 2 days, but I also need you to incorporate these key points in that reference letter. People are busy, especially if you are talking of someone who is like a CEO. They are not going to have time to sit down and put all those things in your reference letter. So if you start now, then it's going, but by the time you are shortlisted, then probably they have this reference letter ready to provide to you. But also understand what Chevening needs to be incorporated in a reference letter. So if you go to Chevening website, it stipulates that the reference letter should be on a letterhead. Your referee should put a signature on it. They should talk about when did they know you, how and in what capacity, how long have they known you. They should be able to attest that you are able to go through a 1 year course in the UK. So you always let your referees know about these things so that they can incorporate them in the reference letter. Number 3, it's about school applications. So you have submitted your Chevening Scholarship application, but you know that on the parallel side, you need to apply for the 3 universities that you have put as your chosen courses. So if you have not already applied to these schools, I would suggest that you start applying now. And I'll talk about this in twofold. So if you have already applied to the schools, then you are fine. And if you have got already an unconditional offer, then congratulations. If you have got a conditional offer, make sure that you work towards uh, getting that condition off your back so that you can have an unconditional offer. Now, the other side, if you have not yet started applied for these school applications, I've got a few tips for you. Tip number 1 is make sure you make sure that you apply. But when applying, you make sure that you are strategic. So the strategy is do not always go for top tier universities. So for example, your 3 universities should not be, for example, number 1, Oxford, number 2, Cambridge, number 3, let's say UCL or Warwick or something like that. Why? Because these top tier universities, the competition is always high. Chances are you might miss out on them. Not because you are not capable or you do not have all the qualifications, but just because, the competition was so high and you were the odd one out. So my strategy, if you ask me, was apply your first choice university, yes, the one that you want. Your second choice university, if your first choice is a top tier university, your second choice, you kind of lower the standards a little bit. So you go for a mid-ranking university, and probably your third choice should be a low-ranking university, so that if you miss out on your first choice, you are guaranteed you'll get an offer on your second and on your third choice. But on top of that, you make sure that you apply to what I would suggest. Make sure that you apply to 2 more universities as a backup. So in my case, I had 3 universities that I listed, but on top of that, I also applied to 2 more universities which were my backup. So my first choice was Nottingham Trent University. My second choice was University of Portsmouth. My second choice was Northumbria University. But on top of these 3, I also applied to University of Liverpool and University of Sussex. And all programs was MSc Project Management. And lucky enough, I got offers from all 5 universities, and because I really wanted to go to Nottingham Trent University, so I didn't have to change anything. So here I am at Nottingham Trent University. But yes, that is the way that you should go about it. Because again, for top tier universities, for example, like Oxford, if English is not your first language, then the overall score that they need, I think, for Oxford is 7.5, if I'm not mistaken. So for you to get an overall score of 7.5 for someone like me, it would be very difficult. Like for me, my English test overall score was 7.0. So you can see if I had applied to Oxford and they need a 7.5 and I get an overall score of 7.0, then they are not going to upgrade my conditional offer to an unconditional offer. So in the end, you might end up missing on the scholarship just because you did not fulfill the English test condition. So that is what I would suggest to you. Also, if you are coming from a country that needs to write an English test, I would also suggest that you plan around how you are going to or how and when you are going to write your English test. For my case, by the time in August, by the time they were opening the application portal, that is also the month that I took my English test. So I took my English test on 24 August 2024. So by the time I was being shortlisted for the interviews, I had already submitted my English test to my schools and they had already given me an unconditional offer. But this is up to you on how you plan and when you are going to write an English test. But the gist of the matter is others, they plan to write in February, soon after the interview. So at least they are sure that they've been shortlisted for the interview, they've done the interview, at least they've got chances of getting in. So that is when they write their English test. Others prefer to write in June after they get the email that they've been conditionally selected for the Chevening Scholarship. So what happens with Chevening? It's not like in June when they send you this email. It's not outright that they are going to tell you that you've been selected for the Chevening Scholarship. The email always say you have been conditionally selected for Chevening Scholarship, and the condition being that they will give you 1 month, and for this time they say you need to provide the conditional offer. The deadline is 9 July 2026. So you will get that conditional selection email in June 2026, and they will give you a month that if you have a conditional offer from your school, you make sure that you sort out everything so that you get an unconditional offer for you to have uh, now for them to upgrade you to uh, for being now a fully fledged Chevening scholar. So for those who are planning to write their English test in June, uh, there's a huge risk in there. For example, if you come from a country like Malawi, where if you try to book an English test, you will see that there is no slot maybe for the next 2 months. So you try to book in June and they will tell you the only slot that is available is in November. And Chevening wants this unconditional offer um, in July. So by virtue of that, you have missed out on the scholarship. They will give it to someone else. And this really happens. I know about 5 individuals this year who missed out on this opportunity. They won the scholarship, they did everything right, but just because they could not now uh, write an English test on time for them to get an unconditional offer from their school, they lost out the opportunity. So you do not want to repeat the same mistakes. Make sure that you just plan around. I know that it's expensive to get an English test. If you come from a country like Malawi, you really need to dig deep in your pocket, but just make sure that you plan around so that it's better to have things under control rather than to be working things out in the last minute. It might not end up good for you. Lastly, I've been getting a lot of questions for those who have not yet started the school applications to the universities. They've been asking me how do I write a personal statement so that I can get an offer from a UK uni. So what I would do is watch out for my next video. My next video will be about how you can write a winning personal statement so that you can get an offer from a UK university. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you will get all the notifications when I have uploaded the next video, so that you do not miss out uh, on any updates or any content that I provide on this channel. But also, I will provide my LinkedIn profile and Facebook profile in the description below. So if you have got any questions or you want us to connect, please let us connect, and please pose your questions in my LinkedIn profile. I will be able to answer your questions. Otherwise, see you in the next video.